For those of you who are listening, this presentation can be viewed. You can view it on the website, therooferchick.com, and that is chick spelled CHICK, therooferchick.com. This episode is about wanting to dispute an insurance company's letter when you, the owner, believes there is nothing wrong with your roof other than it looks ugly. We will give you, the listener, some helpful tips if you believe your roof is in good and sound condition and are clueless why you have received a letter from your insurance company to replace your roof. If you find yourself saying something along the lines of, "It's a 30-year roof," and it was only installed 12 years ago. It may be a little dirty, but the takeaways we will be going over are what is or is not algae, identifying what could be growing on your roof and could it be causing damage to your roof, the appearance of dirty roofs, why you need to know how that look can negatively affect you, tips on how to dispute non-renewal with the insurance company if you have algae, give information to help guide you in choosing what professional is the best fit for your situation, a roofer or a roof inspector, when getting the facts about your roof. Today, we have with us Corey, the owner of Contour Roofing, located in Cherokee County, Georgia. He is going to help me share some need-to-know nuggets for you, the consumer. I met Corey approximately 7 years ago when I was the consultant for a homeowner and he was the adjuster for their claim. Myself and Corey both share work knowledge in the industries of insurance, adjusting, and roofing. Corey also was a realtor until 2008 when the market crashed. I'm sure we all remember that. And sent him on a journey of selling roofs, project manager, and an independent catastrophic adjuster. And then he started his own roofing company so that he could spend more time with his small children. What impressed me the most about Corey is that he truly cares. Let's dive into the deep end and get an expert's opinion that is on the front line every day. Thank you, Corey, for being here and sharing the knowledge you have accumulated over 20 years.
Hey, Devin, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Now, if you could tell me a little bit about the customer that you and I talked about and why they contacted you and what you found.
Yeah, sure. So I was contacted by a customer to say my insurance company has recently contacted me, asking me, or really not even asking me, demanding that I replace my roof or they will be not renewing my policy. And this was due to the fact that they had received a risk engineering residential inspection report. And looking at the photo that he sent to me, they took this aerial image and all I could tell is that there's some algae on the north facing slope, which is very typical of the climate that we live in. It's very hot and humid here in the summer times. And so it's very normal for a roof, let's say 10 plus years old, to have that algae growing on the north facing of the roof. And so I went over to the house expecting to see maybe something way worse than what I inspected. I was kind of expecting to see a very worn out roof with no life left on it. But what I found was that this roof, even though it was, I believe, 14 or 15 years old, and they were requesting that he replace the roof because it was older than 15 years, is what they told him. But even though it was only that age, it looked to be in a very good condition. And I believe it was due to the fact that he did have a good amount of tree coverage around his house. But he was kind of in a pickle at this point, and he didn't know how to respond to that. So in the report, it was very vague. The only really information they gave, and on the report it said roof condition, fair condition. The roof damage observed is moss, mildew, algae, mold growth on roof that negatively impacts the roof integrity. So that was the basis for them demanding that the roof be replaced.
Right. Now, at least he received a picture. I have seen many that have nothing on them. No report other than just a bullet point listing of what they found, but no report per se and no pictures. So at least he did receive that. Corey, does the paperwork the customer received give any indication on how the insurance company gathered the information of the roof damage observed of moss, mildew, algae, and mold growth? Before you answer that, I would just like to point out from my understanding of damage, the only item listed that damages a roof of what the insurance company listed would be moss. From our discussion prior to taping, you pointed out there was no moss or any other things growing on his roof that would do damage to the shingles or the roof structure.
Yeah, sure. So this particular one, it says that they perform their inspection through a aerial ways, and it also says near map inspections are more than likely used from Google Earth or from actual aircraft that take photographs flying over the areas.
It is important to understand how insurance companies gather the information that brings the consumer that painful letter to repair or replace the roof. Corey, let's go over for the listeners an article you sent me that appeared in the Cherokee Connect platform. Could you please read this article?
Yeah, so this was directly from an insurance agent that was getting information out to his clientele, the public, of what he's starting to see more and more. So I'll read the post regarding what he says. So carriers are also implementing the use of drone and satellite imagery for quoting and for new business. They're looking for algae standing on roofs, potential granular loss, and tree overhang. There are third-party companies that have years and years of imagery available on homes, especially in metro areas like we are, and they compare these images from year to year with the new images. If you have any of these things mentioned above, they can non-renew your policy and ask that you replace your roof or trim back your trees, sometimes even remove them altogether before they'll reinstate your policy. Some use a percentage of tree overhang as a rating on factors of quotes, and it's absolutely wild. The first response is typically something along the lines, well, I'll just take my business elsewhere, which is completely understandable. The issue is that there are becoming fewer and fewer places to go, and he was speaking specifically in Georgia, where you can get the same coverage for the same price you had before. Even if you could find what looks to be a good fit, you could switch and get canceled again 30 days later. And that was the end of his post.
I will say that is a good agent, right? He cares about his clientele that he has, and obviously, people in general. But I did watch, it was an NBC news story that was based out of San Francisco, California, and the subject was on technology being used to deny homeowners insurance cancellation and non-renewal. Now, most people say, well, what can I do about the algae? Sometimes they're led to believe the roof has to be replaced. Let us explore and see if algae damages a roof. I did a search on 2 large shingle manufacturers on their website, and here is how they weighed in on this subject. Owens Corning has not seen evidence that algae deposits affect the performance of asphalt shingles. Algae or streaking is more of an aesthetic problem that may impact the look or curb appeal of your home. GAF manufacturer, under the heading Customer Talking Points. Although blue-green algae won't damage the roof or shingles, the resulting dark stains can affect home resale value. Okay, folks, put your aha caps on and let this question sink in. If the shingle manufacturers would greatly benefit from more roofs being replaced, if algae did create damage, why are they making a stand by placing just the opposite on their website, that it does not create damage? When doing my research, I did find some roofing companies on their website stating things that are a little roundabout, misleading to the average Joe and Jane consumer about algae. I personally have encountered home inspectors that document in their reports that a roof needs replacement prior to a buyer purchasing a property, and the sole reason was, you guessed it, the presence of algae. Those encounters did not go so well for those home inspectors. For those of you that have experienced or will experience someone touting that algae damages a roof, a good reply is show your work. Provide documentation from a roofing manufacturer or a forensic material testing company like Hague where that statement is true. I find the behavior of stating that algae damages a roof by industry professionals either totally incompetent to make any comment about roofing systems, and or I place their actions in the category of strong-arming. In all of my learning, damage for roofs fall under 2 criteria. 1, does it affect the water shedding capability? 2, does it affect the life of the roof? Algae does not meet either of these criteria. Now, in the past, I have cleaned roofs for a handful of my customers along the way before when I was roofing. However, it was not on my favorites top of the list. It just wasn't. It's like doing windows for me, right? I don't like doing windows. Tell your listeners your experience of cleaning algae off roofs, because your company had at one time an entire setup for cleaning roofs.
Yeah, so it was a point in my business where I was looking to expand on, not only the business, but have a different option for people that had what they call dirty roofs. Instead of replacing them, what can we do to create better curb appeal? So I decided to start a roof cleaning portion of my business. My experience with it is you use a product, sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach. And when you spray bleach on basically a plant, algae is a plant, it kills the plant. It turns it brown. And then once it either rains or you wash it off, it basically makes the shingles look almost like they're new again. It's the same process that when you have a shingle manufacturer that says they have a 10-year algae resistance warranty and you were to file an algae claim on the product, it's something that they would hire out to have the roof clean. That's the process of that. And they use the same mechanism, the same product, bleach and a surfactant or anything that helps the bleach stick to the shingles, like soap, or there's another product out there that the bleach stay on the shingles. What I do find though is the algae will grow back again at around 2 to 3 years after you do another cleaning. And you do have to be careful using bleach around your home, because just like algae, you have a lot of plants around your home. The mist of the bleach gets on your plants, then it will burn them and it will kill them. But it does clean the roof very well.
All right, so we're going to look at some pictures, and the first one that we're going to look at has some interesting items on it. Now, this was taken by me, and this had the most things on the roof on one system that I have ever seen.
Right, I've never seen ferns.
It does. And so just for those that are listening and aren't going to get on YouTube, it had ferns. It had moss. It had lichen. It had just about everything growing. But I will say a lot of it had debris that built up.
Sure. When leaves and debris sit on the roof for an extended amount of time, it allows moisture to collect. It gives a environment to breed algae. It gives an environment for other things to start growing. And trees, when they drop leaves and they drop seeds and things like that, you basically have a living roof at that point, and it's not able to dry out, do its job anymore. And so that it will begin to grow vegetation, and that vegetation will in turn start to embed itself into the asphalt of the shingles at that point. Once you get to the point where you start seeing vegetation, you no longer have a roof system that's doing its job anymore.
Next one is moss. The moss that I have showing are just little itty bitty ones. Now I've seen bigger ones because the more dirt they can have, the bigger they can grow. The last culprit I want to show you is lichen. It may appear harmless, but don't be fooled. Lichen actually embeds itself into the shingles, thus causing damage. What things have you seen that you do not recommend or have seen do damage?
I will say this, being on the adjuster side, being on the roofing side for so long, there are a lot of roofing companies that do not know what they're doing, do not know what they're looking at. And you have to be very, very cautious of who you allow on your property, who you allow to step foot on your roof. You are a typical homeowner that might not know anything about roofing. The last thing you want is someone that is on your roof that could potentially damage your roof just to get a sale. Just be very cautious with that. If you do allow someone on your roof and they are a reputable company, just be out in the yard and watch them. Just look at what they're doing and try to get educated as much as possible. And please just do not allow them to touch the roof. Just let them walk and look around on it.
Thanks a lot, Corey. Your insights from the field have been fantastic. For the remainder of the episode, I will be heavy hitting on knowledge that helps avoid the whoops, oh no's, and what ifs.
All right, Devin, thank you.
The whoops, oh no's, and what ifs will be covered in its own episode entitled Roof Inspections, 7 Tips and Insights. Production by The Roofer Chick Incorporated. Presented by Debin Smith. Subject matter, algae and its effects on roofing structures. Location of subject matter mentioned is Georgia and California. However, the information presented can be applied throughout the United States of America. For more information, go to the website therooferchick.com. The information provided in this video is based on Debin Smith's experience as an insurance adjuster, roofing contractor, and private investigator, and may not cover all subject matters regarding specific needs. Always consider individual circumstances before acting on any information presented here. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice. Always seek the advice of a qualified professional with any questions you may have regarding specific needs. Laws and regulations can vary significantly by location. It is recommended you consult with a qualified professional familiar with specific laws, regulations in your city, county, and/or state to ensure compliance.